order. Got two projects on the final agenda today. From the Coastal Marshland Protection Act application, we have DVL Link, Sail Harbor Marina, boat yard modification to its existing marina, Wilmington Island Road. Under the Shore Protection Act, we have LLC James Hickey, raising its lot elevation, landscaping and associated irrigation, and install a fire pit. Those are our two projects. But this time first, I would like to ask the committee for a motion to approve the April 17th, 2015 meeting minutes. We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion on the minutes? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Well, our first project is DVL Inc. I will call on Carl Burgess from staff to introduce the project.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning. The first agenda item today is going to be Sail Harbor, as the Commissioner mentioned. Sail Harbor, the proposed project consists of modifying an existing marina. The proposed project is under 1/10 of an acre and therefore may be considered a minor alteration of coastal marshlands under OCGA 12.5-280. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Stuart Sly, who is representing the client.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for allowing us to be here. First, I want to introduce a couple of people with me here today. Dick and Beverly Long, the owners, and the applicant are here. Mr. Lehman Franklin and Mr. Robert McCorkle are here representing the owners and the applicant, as well as Lee Hughes is here with us as well. Mr. Commissioner, with your permission, I got a letter on Tuesday from the Geechee Sailing Club Commodore in support of the proposed project. I'd like to pass this to the committee members and you, if that's appropriate. I'm going to stick to the proposed dock that's before you for approval, and at my conclusion, Mr. Robert McCorkle is going to address y'all with to discuss other issues that may come up today. DVL Inc. has owned and operated Sail Harbor Marina in Turners Creek since 1985. The marina is located in Turners Creek near the confluence of the Wilmington River. Without going into great detail, the marina has gone through several changes over the past 30 years, which is associated with the 1996 Olympic sailing venue, and more recently a loss of leases from the adjacent properties to the west. Which requires that Sail Harbor is to remove certain western docks. DVL has purchased the adjacent property to the east of Sail Harbor Marina on December 18, 2012. The Sail Harbor dock facility currently totals approximately 14,861 square feet and leases dock space to 64 boats, with 67% of the boat owners from Chatham County. The average size boat is 32 to 33 feet. At the time of the permit application, the marina was 95% occupied, with the remaining dock space allocated to public day use and to more boats that are waiting to be hoisted to the boatyard for repairs. A key component to the Sail Harbor Marina is that they welcome medium to large sailboats, which not all marinas in Chatham County do. At the time of the application, there was only 100 feet of available accessible docking space for sailboat owners at the other marinas in Chatham County. The proposed project includes the removal of 1,022 linear feet, or approximately 7,500 square feet, of existing docks from the western non-eligible area. It's shown there to the left as the crosshatch docks to be removed. The Chatham County, let's see, yeah. The Chatham County zoning administrator and coastal resources division staff have confirmed that Sail Harbor has eligible rights to the water in front of the adjacent lot at 604 Wilmington Island Road, which is where the proposed dock reconfiguration is to occur. The applicant proposes to install a 6-foot wide by 9-foot long wooden walkway extending into the water immediately adjacent to the east side of the existing travel hoist track. A 6 by 34 gangway will connect to an 8 by 125-foot main float. There will be 3 floating dock sections extending to the east from the main float. The first 2 landward floats will be 7 feet wide by 136 feet long. The channel where most float will be 8 feet wide by 143 feet long. All proposed reconfigured dock structures are existing docks that are to be removed from the western property. As proposed, the reconfigured docks will extend approximately 181 feet into the waterway, which is 477 feet wide at the location of the docks measured at mean low water. The result of the proposed reconfiguration is the removal of 7,500 square feet of docks from the western portion of the marina and the addition of approximately 4,072 square feet of docks in the water in front of 604 Wilmington Island Road. This results in an overall reduction of 3,434 square feet of docks, or approximately 500 linear feet less of docking space for the marina. The reconfiguration is under 1/10 of an acre and is considered a minor alteration of coastal margin. The existing floating dock at 604 Wilmington Island Road is to be removed. There are no plans for 604 Wilmington Island Road, the adjacent property. All docks not utilized for this proposed reconfiguration are to be sold and removed from the Sail Harbor Marina. The applicant agrees with DNR staff recommendations and findings and permit special conditions. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. McCorkle, and at the end of his presentation, we are available to answer questions at the appropriate time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Stuart. My name is Robert McCorkle and Johnson, firm in Savannah, represent the petitioner, and I appreciate everybody giving us the time here this morning to meet with you. I just wanted to take a moment to address the kind of abundance of correspondence you may have seen and may have received with regard to the matter that's before us here today, and talk a little bit, very briefly, about what we anticipate you're going to hear from the neighbors today. The gist of it is this, and the gist of the main issue of all this correspondence is this. Our neighbors believe that the Chatham County zoning administrator is wrong in stating that our proposal is not violative of the Chatham County zoning ordinance. That's pretty much the gist of it. They've made multiple attempts to try to have the zoning administrator overruled or overturned and even restrained by court to prevent that letter, his letter, saying it is not violative of being before you and for us being before you today. They have been unsuccessful in all of those attempts up to this point. For the record, we have no intention of getting up in front of you today and debating the individual language or content of the Chatham County zoning ordinances or its constitutionality. OCGA 125286B6 requires us to provide a letter from the local governing authority for the political subdivision in which the property is located stating that the applicant's proposal is not violative of the zoning law. We have provided such a letter from Robert Seebeck, the zoning administrator for the last 11 years for Chatham County, and his letter is unequivocal. My opinion of his letter or his opinion, and our neighbors' council's opinion of his letter is irrelevant. The state legislature, in its wisdom, took the burden off of us and off of this committee of having to read and interpret and analyze and debate every municipality that y'all serve zoning ordinance and the constitutionality of the provisions in it by providing in the Georgia Code that a letter be provided from the zoning administrator who has the authority to do so. We have provided that letter and we stand behind its content. Lastly, you may also hear today about a lot of other things. Past zoning applications, that we've made prior lawsuits with other neighbors on this river. You might even hear that my client is a bad guy and a liar. I'm not really sure. But similarly, all of these things are relevant to the actual dock proposal that's before you today. And we don't intend to be up here wasting anybody's time engaging in a back and forth about individual items and individual past history about our client or his marina. We believe it is just a diversion, and would prefer to just frankly discuss the actual proposal before y'all today. I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all have. We'd also like to reserve the right to respond to anything to the extent it's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Corporal. Carl, if you'll come up.
Should the committee find this proposed project in public interest, staff recommends the typical standard conditions for marsh permits and marinas and the following special conditions seen on board. No improvements to the upland component associated with lots 32 or 33 are authorized under this permit. Number 2, no commercial activities can take place or are authorized on lot 32 under this permit. Number 3 is upon completion of construction of the modified marina structure, the permittee must maintain a water bottoms lease. And number 4, permittee shall provide a post-construction survey.
Thank you, Carl. Any questions of staff and the committee at this point?
I'd like to make this notebook I just handed out a part of the record. But my name is Bill Hunter, Mr. Chairman of the committee. I'm from the law firm of Oliver Manor, LLP in Savannah. I represent several of the neighbors who have opposed this extension of the marina, change to this marina. And I'm not going to talk specifically about the substance of Mr. Seebeck's letter and the zoning. I would say to the committee, on June 23rd, we have a hearing in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals in Chatham County. That will be heard, I guess that's Tuesday next week. And they will pass upon whether Mr. Seebeck is correct or incorrect with regard to his letter. But more fundamentally, and what is contained in this notebook, is our argument, detailed argument, about a very simple concept, which is this application, as it exists right now, is incomplete and is facially deficient. It is so because there is no letter from the local governing authority of the political subdivision in which this property is located. If you look, and when you get a chance to look and consider this letter, the political subdivision in which the property is located is Chatham County. There's no dispute about that. The local governing authority of Chatham County is the Chatham County Board of Commissioners, period. It is defined that way in the Chatham County Code. It is defined that way in the Georgia Constitution. It is defined that way in the Georgia Code. The Chatham County Georgia Code states specifically the governing authority of Chatham County shall be known and shall be designated as the Board of Commissioners of Chatham County. We just heard counsel for DBL say that the statute requires a letter from the zoning administrator. It does not. 125286 says the department shall include a letter from the local governing authority of the political subdivision in which the property is located. I have provided in this notebook the Chatham County Code of Ordinances, which defines governing authority. I've provided the Article 9 of the Georgia Constitution, Section 1 and 2, which also define local governing authority, and code sections from Title 33 and 36, which also define local governing authority specifically under the law. In addition, the Chatham County Code of Ordinances states that the chairman of the Board of Commissioners, which is the Al Scott in this instance, is the official spokesperson for the county government, chief advocate of policy, and is particularly the spokesperson in any intergovernmental relations, which is what we have here. We do not have a letter in this application, as far as I know, from the Chatham County Board of Commissioners or the Chatham County chairman of the Board of Commissioners.
Mr. Hunter, can you wrap up? Your time's up.
Sure. And to that end, our argument is simple. There is no, the local governing authority is defined, there is no letter. Secondly, the committee can say, you know, we don't have to look behind the zoning, we don't have to do this. There's a zoning ordinance on the books that says this dock is illegal. In addition, there is a site plan which shows that such dock would be illegal. And we would ask that the committee at least make Mr. Long provide a complete application before it rules on this. In fact, before it takes any further action on.
My name is Dennis Chandler. I live at 526 Wilmington Road, which is 2 lots over from this particular lot. I'm not going back in any past, like, before us, but we're just saying that what we've got there, we went before the MPC, and this was brought up to be changed into commercial. They denied it 100%. Went for Chatham County Commission, they denied it. So at that particular time, okay, it's all commercial. Well, unbeknownst to us, just shortly after that May 2014, Mr. Long evidently went to Mr. Slade, and they got a thing from the CBEC stating that it was okay to put the docks in front of residential property, which was a shock to us. That river right now, we've just expanded the boat ramps, and we've got the traffic and everything there now is just unbelievable. I had called the Savannah County Patrol last weekend to try to do something about the boats. So many speeding, doing what have you. Time's up, I see. But anyway, I appreciate it. We help y'all give us maintaining that property as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chandler. Now we have Mr. Paul Farthing.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for letting me talk. So I've got 3 minutes. Awesome. Pressure. My wife and I bought the lot right next to the lot in question. We just sold our business after a whole lifetime of work. They gave us a nice chunk of money. We were super excited to have an opportunity to live on the deep water over Turner Street. Just before we closed on that lot, we learned that there was a possibility that the lot next to us could become commercial, so we held and waited. It was ruled to say multifamily residential, which the county decided would be a great buffer. We've got the boatyard and the marina working and doing a great job. We would have a multifamily residential lot here, townhomes or condos, which would take a good buffer, as to use the county's words, and then the residential lots would then begin as planned. That's what they ruled. My wife and I decided that we could handle this. This would be beautiful. This is where we'll spend the rest of our days, raise our children and our grandchildren. Super excited about the property. Everything's going to be great. Now we hear that they're going to put a commercial dock system in front of that residential property. Will absolutely ruin our value of the property, our enjoyment of the property, and definitely the safety of the property. I'm a quadriplegic. I can barely swim. I can't swim well, but I can swim. We put a whole commercial dock system there. I won't be swimming in that water. We put a whole commercial dock system in front of that residential lot, and that residential water, my kids won't be swimming in that water either. And definitely not my grandkids. I don't know what else to say. I'm pressured by the time. I'm telling you, we bought that lot with the plans that everything next to it was multifamily residential. Now we're putting a commercial dock system in front of it, and I can't accept it, and I beg and plead from all you guys to look out for us. That can't happen. Thank you so much. I finished with a minute to spare.
All right, thank you, Mr. Farthing. Thank you for coming.
Any question? I've lived there, I've had a property there for 30 years and have enjoyed Turner's Creek immensely. Unfortunately, this meeting is not being held in Savannah on Wilmington Island, or in Wilmington Island, because if it was, this room would be packed with people who have previously signed notice that they're opposed to this rezoning, I think you have been provided copies of the names of those people who have signed that, but unfortunately, with travel and work schedules and so forth, not everyone was able to take time to come down here and visit with y'all. It's been stated that there's apparently a shortage of marina space in Chatham County. From my own survey, I don't find that that's true. Every marina that I contacted in Chatham County has space available, including the newly built Chatham County Marina, which is essentially empty. So from a statement of need point of view, there doesn't seem to be a pressing need for additional dockage in the county. I think you also are all aware, as Mr. Chandler stated, that there are 2 new boat ramps that are on the Chatham Creek right now. And the traffic is immense. It's probably 4 times what it has been historically. How much more can a creek tolerate as far as commercial and traffic and so on and so forth? That's a question I think I would like you to consider. Lastly, it's amazing to me, I have read the Chatham County zoning, and I have read and I've looked at the site map that has been provided by the county. It clearly states that zoning extends to the middle of the creek. How an administrator can, by his own fiat, just say, well, none of that is relevant, and the zoning as, thank you, and the zoning that's defined by the map and by the regulation just doesn't count. How can an administrator just decide to make that on his own? As our council has indicated, the governing authority of the county is the proper place for authorization like that to come forward. That has not been provided. So it is, in summary, this whole issue has been subject to a long line of litigation and contention. That's not important. The real question is what's good for the creek, what is appropriate for the neighbors that have been long-term residents and also pay taxes. And I would urge you to give some consideration to keeping our creek the way it is.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, and I'll be very brief as well. The argument about the zoning administrator, frankly, is a new one on me. He's a zoning administrator for Chatham County. I'm guessing that almost all the letters y'all receive are from zoning administrators from the county who are given authority in their county ordinances to make these kind of decisions. So I don't know what to say about that exactly, other than the fact that we provide the letter that's required by the code. Prior zoning application had nothing to do with the floating docks in front of the water, had to do with the upland component. I think it's important to note here that this dock, this movement of this dock, and this proposal does not actually touch the upland component of this empty lot. It is solely out in the water. Additionally, it does not cross the property lines extended of our lot or into the Farthing's lot. I think it's also important to note that this is a proposal to actually reduce the footprint of the dock and to reduce the number of boats that are in the water, not to expand the dock and expand the number of boats that are in the water. So again, we stand by the staff's recommendations. We believe we have provided you with a complete file and a complete application, and we would ask for your approval.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Moore.
Thank you. I had the pleasure of continuing this meeting today because it was less than a tenth of an acre deal. I got several phone calls from several parties. I had a lot of great conversations, talked with Jim and Isaac Bird, our attorney generals. Read the statute several times. I'm a lawyer by training. I've talked with the representatives and the agents probably 6 or 7 times. Written about the place in my boat. I'm not here to provide any factual testimony today. I'm the judge and jury. I'm not the fact giver. I just want to make that clear for the record. If there's any change in that in the law, somebody can educate me later on. From what I've seen, the zoning is not correct. Apparently the man's issued, Mr. Seebeck, to be sure for the record, has issued 3 letters, and only one is referred to in the application to be absolutely on line with it. And it doesn't have the language in there. In the first letter, the 2014 letter. He issues 2 more, which don't really amend the first 2, but maybe, to reasonably construe they do. Then we have a letter from Mr. Hart, who's the county attorney, and has been so for almost 20 years. And he knows his business. I mean, he's been around, he's a well-known, lawyer. Good friends with Mr. McCorkle, I'm good friends with Mr. Hunter. Mr. Hunter personally represented me. Their law firm represented me. I've known the McCorkles forever. Father was the chairman of our commission, great guy. My mother loved him. Anytime she had trash in her ditch, she called him up and it was gone 5 minutes later. So they're workers, we like that. But I don't think the zoning is correct. I don't personally know Mr. Long. This is not so much about the past history. This is about now. It's about the land. And I have a duty to the citizens, as far as I can tell, of the state, for which I get paid. And I come down here, and I'm glad to be here. It's a real honor. It's a little bit of thinking, though. You got to think about what you're doing. And I respect my colleagues, and we've had some contention already, but we don't, go and beat each other up at whether we can agree to disagree. I think the staff does a great job. The letters that come in, they're sort of contradictory. The zoning I've seen does not support marina zoning. I think I could tell you almost boldly that if there was marina zoning there, I don't think we'd be here today. I don't think I would ask for the 10-day, thing to be extended. We'd have gone to the commissioner, and he probably, would have certainly ruled on it, I'm sure, and that kind of thing. I don't have any problem with sailboats, folks. I just spent 4 days in the ocean on a 52-foot sailboat in the Gulf Stream. No problem with that. Love sailing. I think there ought to be more sailing. Power boats, they're here. Gas goes back up to $5 a gallon, they're gone, Chatham County's got this huge marina now. I don't know what they're doing with all that, but I'm sure it's clogged up the waterways. And I just don't think at this point in time that this is proper. And then also there's the additive information today that we have not received the proper letter, in the sense that the proper person has not signed it to us. Now,
Mr. Morgan?
yeah,
It may be, but who signs the letter is acting on behalf of that local governing authority.
right.
And I appreciate your comments, but this committee has a job to do. If we get in the business of supplanting this committee for local elected officials, that's a dangerous slope. So I'll let you continue, but you're going down a path that takes this committee way out of its purview. I'm trying to be.
No, that's great. I've studied this law, and I've called up, had a great conversation.
And there are other avenues for challenges, but for this committee, we need to rule on what we're assigned to do. So, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, may I say something? And just to clarify, this might be a good time just to, for the committee, the parameters for the committee's decision on this and other application. And the focus of the committee's deliberation is the public interest considerations set out in the Marsh Act. And in the Marsh Act, there are certain things that have to be furnished as part of the application to make it complete. But once completed, then it is submitted to the committee for deliberation as to whether or not it comports with the public interest considerations. So it's not contemplated by the Act that this committee, once it is submitted to the committee and it's deemed to be complete, and part of that would be a zoning letter from the local zoning governing authority saying that it's not in conflict with any local zoning laws. Once that is submitted to the committee for consideration, the Act does not contemplate the committee going behind the zoning determination that's reflected in the letter that was submitted to the committee as part of the completed package. So I understand the concern and what have you, but that's really not part of the deliberation.
Can I finish now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So, what I'm saying is, based on what I've heard, I'm not supplying my own testimony.
tell you what I heard. I have not gone behind them. These people who showed up, given their evidence, the McCorkles are great zoning lawyers. There's no doubt about that. Anybody knows that. Mr. Hunter's a great trial lawyer. And I've heard from lawyers that the zoning's not copacetic. The thing hadn't been signed by the proper authority under the proper laws of Chatham County. And how have we been doing it? That's what I heard today. And for that reason, I think it's kind of like this section on title. It's confused. I don't have any problem. You know, marina zone, like Sal, would be here. I think things should come back where it's properly done and the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. That's how I feel.
Thank you, Mr.
And I thank you for your time.
Let me respond. There's a letter in file. DNR staff has made a determination whether or not it comports with what they are required to have in order for there to be a complete application. If there's questions about how they decided that, that could be directed to the DNR staff. My understanding is complete, and they accepted the letter as being what's required by law. Insofar as the validity of the zoning decision reflected in that, that's a local zoning matter. And I understand from the discussions today that there are proceedings underway. I'm not sure what the nature of those proceedings are, but there are proceedings underway in Chatham County that are being addressed or aimed at determining the validity of that. But as far as the committee's concerned, they have a letter that the DNR staff has said equals what's required. Now, as far as whether it's been submitted by the proper authority or not, certainly governing authorities can act through other agents. I think the statutes that have been furnished here today by Mr. Hunter talk about a county administrator, and he can act through others. There's been some mention today about local zoning ordinances that allow the zoning administrator to act on behalf of the county. I have not looked at those. If you all have any questions about any of that, you can direct that again to staff, because I do think that their experience in handling these sorts of things is something you might want to know about. What is their experience? Who does typically have the authority to speak on the zoning issues on the applications that they deal with? And your interpretation of how that term, governing authority, is typically interpreted and applied in the context of the Marshland Act.
Thank you. Carl, did you?
I just wanted to make a comment too regarding the fact that staff is recommending in here that if it were to be approved, the standard conditions, number one, does state it must comply as applicable for area permit plan with all other federal, state, and local statute ordinances and regulations. So just keep in mind that all permits that we do here from the committee standpoint still have to have the obligation, they have to comply with all other federal, state, and local rules.
I was going to comment, the reason that I made a motion to approve the permit was that the area, based on the testimony that I've heard, has a 30-year history as a marina, and that the net result from the docks that are currently in place and the future docks that are proposed to be built would have a reduction in the amount of space available. So I believe that it's in the public interest because this matter, there's been a marina in that area of a similar size for 30 years. So the approved permit is going to keep a similar amount of space, be it less than that area has had for a long time. And I think that having sufficient dock space is always important as a coastal community.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Any further comments or questions or discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the project, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
2-2. Chair votes aye.